movies and her singing career, and also the journey from India to US. And also she has done a written a book. Also, we'll talk about it, and mostly on the women and abuse on women. So, welcome to the show, Julia George.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having
Thanks.
me.
No problem. Can you help us out in understanding, I mean, your journey from India to US and also your journey in movies? That will be helpful. Interesting. I mean, you have a multi careers. Like, I mean, you do movies and act in movies and also sing songs. So I'm sure we'll get to listen to one or two songs from you today. Let us say.
Okay. So basically, I was even from from my childhood, I was very much interested in acting, in performing and stuff. And so it was in there, but I just never knew what exactly to do with it. So somewhere during my 12th grade, I was like, I really need to get into acting. And my parents were like, well, you finish your degree and then you can move on into acting and stuff. So finally, I got my degree done, and I was like, now what? I really want to act. So then they supported me, and then they were like, okay. I guess I was never really ready to be, on my own and independent and try to audition myself. I was just always like, I had this thing like people used to, give you this the offside of cinema and all that. So it was always a little scary. Like I was like this little cat trying to be scared in the water. So I think that was what was always set me back from always trying to, be a great performer. But finally, I was able to nail at least three movies. A Manjari Guru, that was an international movie. So Anjali Menon it was her first debut movie. So I
Hmm.
was proud to be part of that movie and, just be able to, because there was spot dubbing and there was so much, like from commercial cinema. That was the first stepping stone. This was a little off commercial cinema. So the spot dubbing and, trying to get everything in sync before the shot takes place and everything was a huge challenge. So there was more time consuming and there was a lot of effort involved because it was just starting this. At that time, it was pretty new, like for the whole crew and for everyone there. So it was pretty much an experience to be in that movie. And then Red Chilies happened. I was able to act with Mohanlal sir. That was
Hmm.
also a great experience. So these kind of movies have definitely, take you to one step to realize it's great to be a performer, to do the best you can as a performer. And I did that. And then I came to US once my marriage was done. And 10 years has been like literally blank kind of thing. But hey, and now I showed up with a book. So I was so happy that it happened. The book happened. And it speaks about abuse, about women, completely sidelined. And there are so many women who have been through a lot of issues in life and there's so much resemblance. I'm sure if someone reads the book, I'm sure they're going to feel or see the, what do you say, that they might see resemblance of someone they know, a woman they know, like, oh yeah, I've heard of something like this happen to a woman. So yeah, it's happening. It's abuse is there. It's behind. Sometimes it's behind closed doors. Sometimes we see it on news, but it happens, and it's sad.
So how did you get into the movie? I mean, there are many girls. I mean, who admire. Dream about getting into acting a movie. So how did you get a chance to act? I mean, it's not that easy to land an opportunity, get an opportunity to work in a movie. So can you help us out in understanding your journey in getting opportunity to work with Mohanlal and Anjali uh,
It was
and
auditions,
first
it
movie
was
itself?
basically auditions. First, I went for an acting workshop actually,
Okay.
and that happened in Ernakulam. And you're pretty much it's a lot of waiting game. You're trying to send emails, you're trying to send whatever referrals you get, and I think there was a person, an agent or someone who called me and he was like, hey, there's a audition, for yeah for Anjali Menon's movie, and we went to that and she was already busy with the shoot, like it had already started, And this was one particular character. My character was something they were looking for. They were trying to find a suitable character for that. And then this happened. Like finally, I was able to be a part of the movie. So it's definitely it just happens sometimes, And then the second movie, Red Chillies, was like after the delay and everything, all of a sudden after a few months, I was ready to go into my masters, and that is when this audition came up. So we went to Ernakulam all the way from, we were in Kannur at that time. So went to Ernakulam, and within no minutes I was in, like I had just done a little bit of the run with the script and everything. Shaji Kailas sir was the director, and he was like, "You've got the flow to get it done. So yeah, you're hired," kind of thing. So
Very
I was
good.
so happy about that role, because it was with Mohanlal. So I had little intuition of what it is and who and all is a part of the movie, but when it all came out, it sounded like, then it came out to be such a great phenomenon. Like I was like, oh, okay, it's such a big movie. All right, great, kind of thing.
Okay. What is the name of the movie? I didn't get to know the movie name.
The Red Chilies. Red Chilies
Red
is
Chilli.
the yeah.
Okay. So what is the plot and what is your role in that?
Oh, it was mainly it was I get saved at the very end, because I was kind of trapped in a certain situation, and there were other girls also involved, but like Mohanlal sir kind of helps selects this one special kid because she gets trapped, kind of thing. So that was kind of the scenario of the movie.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So what was your second movie about? I mean, I heard. I mean, you acted in three movies. You mentioned in the
The
beginning.
other one
So,
was other one was called Black Stallion. That one was like the one which went Tamil, Telugu, and everything. But I was like a sister of um, you have you heard of Namita?
I
Namita.
heard, but I mean, yes, I'm not very good at movies, so I have to go back and check. Okay, sorry, yes.
So yeah, I was like a sister of hers, and like how there was like a sad aspect to me in the movie. There was a dark face to me because my father passes away and stuff, and how I was kind of saved by my sister, and there was a few issues of gangs and smugglers kind of thing, and then how it all evolved. Kind of at the end, the sister gets saved. That was the plus point of it. But yeah,
Got you. Okay. Okay, that's very nice. Okay, and the third one?
that was the third one. I'm sorry.
No, that's the third one. Okay. Okay, got you. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, so what do you see that, I mean, in this movie industry has, you yourself mentioned there is a taboo in the movie industry. Like, I mean, working in the film industry is not that easy, especially for the women coming from without any family background. So, what was your, it looks like you have a very good experience. I mean, you had a good opportunity and you were able to work with a good team and good so can you share on from that angle? I mean, so what do you think? What do you recommend? I mean, to the youngsters, I mean, there are many aspiring boys and girls. I mean, who would like to get in the career. I mean, acting career, but it's not that easy. But probably if you can share a few points, that will be helpful to some of the audience, if possible.
Pretty much there are many. It's always good to have a mentor. It's always good to have find a proper, like a zone of friends who have something similar interests, and it's definitely a task to take it from there, to do auditions and try to find, sometimes the roles come to you, and sometimes, you're trying your best to get into a good movie and to be part of, a great film, but it's definitely a task. Now, this book itself, with the story and the storyline, I had this intuition that this will sooner or later become a film. I'm hoping to it to be my directorial debut kind of thing. So it's you have to be positive. You have to know the confidence level in yourself in whatever you're going. If you're going for acting, you're going for singing, whatever it is, you have to do your bit, your homework of seeing how much is your range, how much can you contribute as an individual, and above all that, just be confident and keep seeking. Like you have to keep looking for the best agents, best clients out there who can help who can guide you through the right direction. Like whether it comes to acting or singing, you always need those people who are genuine. Some people are there to just take you in circles to just see that it really never happens. But there are some people who will land you right where you need to be and it make you happen.
Gotcha.
So
That's good.
that's the plus and the negative part of cinema and
Yes.
any you would see.
Any field. But I mean, movie industries, unfortunately, it has more stories and more incidents like
You
that.
hear, I mean, honestly, that's what it seems like. But right now, most of them who are in the industry usually know, like, they have families and they have influences. So there's not much stories anymore. And there's so many newcomers who really want more new talent out there. So I don't think it's the scene is so negative as it used to be, or the aura of hearing cinema, or she's going to act into cinema, or she's trying to perform. It's really about passion and trying to take it. Yeah, there is always people. Every field you go, there will be always negative kind of people who try to push you down, pull you down, and ask you to compromise and all those kind of nonsense. It's there in all fields.
I
But
agree. I no doubt about it. But I mean, unfortunately, this has more access and the
agree,
proximity,
agree.
and
Yeah,
those
it
kind of
has
things will
still
has
the
more
negative
chances. Yeah.
notion.
Yes.
The aura is still there. But it's associated
Yes.
with cinema.
Yeah, I agree. That's good. I mean, so why did you get a idea of writing or think about the abuse on women? Like, I mean, can we talk a little more on the what kind of abuses are happening on women? Because before you write a book, I mean, I'm sure there should have been some thoughts or some there should have an inspirational point for you to get into this idea, get idea on this, and then write a book. So, can you help us out in
Definitely, definitely.
understanding? Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, it's always like a year ago I started writing a little short stories about it, but then I really didn't execute it to a level where it was published as a book or anything. Like, it wasn't officially a book. But when I realized this is really an issue which is always behind closed doors. Some women, parents and family or husband thinks you're unwanted. That's it. You're dumped into some asylum, and nobody knows about it. Nobody even realizes that this happened. And then they're like, oh, a little sick. Within the family, they'll just say it's the person is a little sick and stuff like that. And they'll go to a next level of severe things will be done to this woman or to any person. It could be a man also. But what happens is, at the end of the day, all these issues are untalked about. There are several women who've probably passed away with sort of these kind of severe issues, with severe abuse, and there are several women who are still in closed doors. We talk about sex trafficking. We talk about so many other issues in this world, but this is true. This is happening. This is even in marriages. It's happening. There are women abused, completely tortured, and nobody cares. Nobody takes an aspect. There are several groups and several you know associations trying to help all the time, but still there are women who are scared to come out, scared to speak about it, scared to share about their reality. This story was somewhere dedicated to them, because I realized that it was something very impactful story about women, and being Mother's Day, talking about it itself, I'm sure several women who go through strives in their life can relate to this story.
Gotcha. That's yeah. I mean, the abuse. I mean, they say there are many ways people do it. I mean, around 70% of the abuses are on women, and what we've been hearing is physical abuse and sexual abuse, and then the financial abuse and the technology abuse, and also they're talking about nowadays immigrate. They abuse through the immigration system too. So, so which aspect, I mean, did you focus more on? There are maybe many other ways to abuse women, So fundamentally, why do you think women get into that situation? I mean, why 70% of the abuses are on women, and why women are in that situation where they can get abused or people can take them for granted? Why do you think that is happening?
Mainly because you don't choose the right partner. Usually that's what happens. Like if you, you know, the phenomenon of dating in the US and all is kind of felt like a taboo in India. It's like, oh no, 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 you're not supposed to date, you know, and there are so many other areas of life in many people in India have broken that barrier and they're like, no, please date now. Please understand who this person is and who you're getting married to, and only then go further on with it. But like the women like me, I was in a, you know, girls hostel all, like, you know, in my childhood time and all. So it's very I feel very uneasy to, you know, have many male friends. More of my uh, friend circle is usually females, you know. So you're always grown up in that taboo. It depends on your culture, it depends on, you know, what religion you follow, and the aspect, your thought process of what relationship is, you know. And sometimes you feel like, you know, you have to make the right choice when you're getting married, and sometimes you just come across some alliance and you're like, you just go with it, you just go with the flow, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. What can go wrong with a marriage, you know? You just say yes to a person and everyone's pretty normal, that's all you think. But is this person having issues, or is this person is, you know, abusive, or is he like a non-stop abusive machine kind of thing, and he'll literally turn every aspect of your life into a disaster. None of it is foreseen, you know. So that's the sad part about getting married, having a relationship. Or relationship is fine. Like you don't go beyond that, you can get out. But once you're in a trap, you have kids, or you know, you're in a marriage situation, you can't run out that fast, or you cannot. You're like, and the person threatens you in every aspect. Like, oh, I have evidence, or I have any issues. So many several ways to see that you're screwed for the rest of your life. So the person, the woman or the man, is like really trying to just be quiet and just take up all the issues and just be like, okay, maybe I have to be quiet. I have to not speak about it, you know. And even though this person is abusing me or hurting me, I'll have to just stay quiet about it. I can't speak. And that is where there needs to be association, there needs to be groups where at least they can vent out, they can speak, and maybe somehow they can get you know, an option to be out of this kind of situation, you know, because it is not easy, and it is very shameful for the person to be able to say, yes, I'm going through abuse, yes, you know, the other person, the other partner is hurting me through to such extents that I can't even, you know, I can't even speak it out loud, kind of thing. So it's definitely a huge phase where so many issues have to be dealt with.
Yeah, I see the point. I mean, once you are trapped, how you're getting abused, I mean, or how you're being dominated by the other counterpart. But I mean, does it mean that, I mean, because women are also not self-sufficient, I mean, especially, I mean, we are talking about, I mean, women from
Okay.
India,
Yeah. Now, see, if you
not
come,
Asia. They are not independent, and they are not financially or emotionally or from the thought process point of view. So that's why they cannot stand out and speak out, and then they cannot walk out from the relationship. So that's
exactly,
usually in business deal. I know from the business language. I mean, you can only win the deal if you are ready to walk out from the negotiation table. So you can negotiate better. But in this
yeah,
situation, probably they are financially trapped or dependent, emotionally dependent. That's the reason they don't want to. And socially, especially another thing, stigma is you cannot say that my marriage is not doing well or going well. That's another issue I
exactly.
see. That, I
That
mean,
that
women feel ashamed of
shameful
saying
part
that. Yes,
in
yes. Go
open
ahead.
up.
So what is your say or comment or your research on those points?
Yeah, that's one shameful aspect that people are so, you know, are unable to own up. No woman wants to speak it out loud and say that, you know, my marriage is a fail. My marriage is not happening, and this person is abusing me severely. And some women actually take the phone and actually show, after many years, they show the nerve to call their parents and be like, this is happening to me, and this is severely torturing. It's not helping me. This is really ruining my life here. And some families take control. They help the woman to get out of the problem, and some families just refuse. They're like, oh, you know what, you have to deal with it. You have to deal with the abuse, so just keep dealing with it. You tell how many threats are coming around you. You request them somehow help, and they're like, no, no, we are not here to help you. You ask they ask their brothers, sisters, and stuff, and everywhere it's closed down. The friend circle they have is also something related to the family. So even how much they try to say that, this is happening to me, this is really something I'm having issues with, no one is ready to actually, be like, no, is it real? Like, even your friends will be like, but you have to adjust. That's the stigma. We are always with that thing, like, no, you have to adjust. I mean, some women are like, no, really, this is extreme. This is beyond a woman can handle. But it just comes to a part where few people are like, still adjust somehow or the other. And those women need a third, a, like a third rescuer, a person who can really help them. Because when families refuse, when the spouse is being so threatening and abusive, you have to be concerned about this kind of an issue. It is very scary, and that's where some kind of Indian association, women who need to really, be there one on one to be able to talk about it, to help these kind of women. They probably just need some kind of a stepping stone to be able to get rid of, get rid of this abuse, get into a better place. So I think many people need to be aware that this kind of situation needs help with. Yeah, there are so many you know father and children who are already motherless. Like they'll just, the mother suddenly disappears out of the scene. They- They're probably in some asylum because of the torture. Nobody cares about the torture. Oh, yeah, she's got issues. She's got issues. And that's it. Nobody cares that she was abused extremely and the abuser is walking free. And this woman is completely called something or the other and dumped into some asylum. That is
Mhm.
the sad one. That is where I think, what about the abuser? What are you doing? You're trying to tag a woman with some details and you're just completely shutting her off for the rest of her life. And what about the abuser who's done such a severe, heinous crime and is still walking around free? You know,
Sure.
that is very concerned.
I agree. I mean, there are, I mean, this, but because you're not compliant, so there is no complaint against the gentleman or, I mean, who are their counterpart. So there is no case and nobody is. But at the same time, when you mention them, there are quite a few organizations in Michigan, especially I'm from Michigan. So there's a service called My Family Services. They mainly focus on women. I mean, I would say it can be abusive women or, I mean, women who need some help. So those kind of are many Indian, especially focusing on Southeast Asian people. There are quite a few organizations all over the USA. Especially, I come from Hindu background, so I see from the temples point of view. There are many temples they do house. Even I'm sure there will be churches also will be have these kind of services for the women who got abused or who are helpless or who need some help. So probably we need to find the resources. But what it takes for a woman to take the call and take the courage to call these services. That's another thing. So even they know sometimes they have these services, but they should have a confidence or a courage. They need to make a decision that okay, now this relationship is not working. I need to break this relationship. They should be able to make a decision and make a call. So what it takes for them to make the call?
I
Any
think
idea? I'm
personally,
not sorry.
it's one thing to personally, I feel it's one thing to have the support background you need to actually get out of relationships. I've known women who have actually stepped out, who have actually tried to voice it out, who have tried to say that there's domestic violence going on and stuff. But to an aspect, this person who's an abuser, they see that they are in a community which will only support him. So sometimes what happens is these women they start opening up. They try to speak to these people who are so-called friends of theirs. But what happens is they're already so tuned and fine-tuned with the person who's the abuser. And they're like, you know what, we can't really do much about it. Uh, you know, our hands are tied too. So, you will have to figure out a different way. And that's it. And
Mm.
when a woman is really going through threats and she's going through a next level of being told all the ways that no, this is, we cannot help you. She goes to even high officials and they're like, you're not going to be getting help from anywhere, or we can't
In
help you.
India,
This is
probably
the
I would
only
say that
statement
one,
she
but in
keeps hearing.
US, sorry, in
Pardon?
India, as you said rightly, in India there is a chance that you can manipulate the officials, but in US, if you call a 911, the chances are less. I mean, that can be manipulated. Am I right?
Agreed, but here the thing is, the first question 911 asks you is, "Are you bleeding?" And if you say no, they're like, "Okay, then just hang up and call some other services."
Hmm.
So
Okay. I
yeah,
can be
so
okay. Hmm.
basically, only if you're bleeding and if you're almost dead, they'll come to help.
Okay,
So
but really, will they give you the number where to call or who to call?
yeah, they ask you to redial and call some other number or something like that. That's what
Got,
happens usually. There's a loop for it. So
gotcha.
if a woman is like, oh my God, I'm really, having a problem here. Help me. Are you bleeding? No? Okay, just hang up then. So that is what
Yeah,
usually
okay.
is the sad thing. So yeah, there is a loophole at that part.
I got you. Okay, probably they should refine. Somebody has to make it a point and try to bring it to their notice to divert them to somewhere else rather
Yeah.
than asking them to hang up and then call somewhere else. That's a good thing. And so you got this information. How did you see any first-hand scenarios where you were able to gain some knowledge on this, or how did you come into this particular topic? And there are many. To be a filmmaker or to be a story maker, you can a story writer. You could have picked up many other topics. So why this topic?
Yeah, it is very dear to me. There is some slight experiences of my own. Definitely. There is other women I've known. I used to always, there's some older women in my own family I've seen who have been, tormented to such extents in their families or whatever. And you look at them and you're like, why is this happening to them? Why you don't realize why the family selects one person to be abused, to be hurt, to be humiliated. And why is this really happening to them is completely a clueless mystery. Why they select one person and they target them so to just be abused and all that. This person is like they don't have a life. They don't have, even when families are having gatherings, they are put sidelined and they are targeted and such to be humiliated. So when such aspects are seen for many, like I've certainly seen older women, like maybe their spouses have passed away and stuff. They have nothing else. They have no role to do. They have to sit in a corner and just look around, hoping that somebody would say a hello to them, so say hi to them, talk to them. Even if those people, like within the family, try to say that, I've been abused or something within the family, they try to speak it out. Also, no one cares. No one really sees their aspect of life or what's happening to them and all. This happens to older and younger women, or men also in that fact. So yeah, this it's sad. Sometimes you go to other family events, you will probably see, you know, women sidelined to this corner because their spouses are dead, or they're so scared to talk about it. Also, they'll just keep quiet. They try to move away on the side. And you can't even make out. Such women are just, they try to keep it quiet. They're, what do you say? They're suffocating within with the abuse or what's going on, but they don't speak it out because they know the after effect also is not going to be so great about, you know.
Gotcha. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I mean, we see, I mean, many cases, especially from India, there are many abandoned women, even in India too. I mean, especially in the Punjab and Andhra. I've seen at least one or two cases firsthand where, I mean, they get married and the guy, the counterpart comes to US and he never calls her to stay with him. So, I mean, the parents and the girl, I mean, will be looking for, hoping to see that they will get a call and she will be able to go and join him. It will be like 2 years or 3 years, and after that, they need to seek some help from the officials. And at least, I think few years back, Indian government has taken the initiative of communicating and then taking some action on those kind of cases. So there are situations. I mean, even after coming here, also I've seen one case. I mean, where we have, as you said rightly, kind of targeting and abusing the family, the spouse, and then making environment such that, I mean, they will not be able to. They will make other people believe that there is an issue with that particular individual. And so the bottom line, what I see is, I see lack of confidence in the women. I understand these things do happen. Let it be in the business or let it be in the life or anything. These mistakes do happen. So that's when, I mean, you need to value your own life first, and forget about your society or forget about your immediate family. Or that's my opinion. You need to have self confidence and also have the skills to live on your own. Every life is valuable. I mean, God has created equally everyone. That's what I believe in. So, though I think that why are those skills are lacking in women? Why do you think? I mean, those basic principles. Like, I mean, I don't care. Why should they don't? Why don't they come to the stage saying that I don't care what others think. I don't care what happens to that gentleman. I don't want to go through this hell. I have my own life. I can lead my own life. I go out. I can, even something goes wrong, I can build everything from scratch. Why don't they get into that state of mind?
It depends. There are two to three factors for sure that always this kind of situations happen. For few women, it's mainly they have kids involved, so they can't leave the scenario right away. Today's Mother's Day, again, wishing out the mothers out there who have gone through a lot of struggles, or who are raising great kids, or not so great kids, whatever your situation is. But happy Mother's Day to you. But there is always a stigma, like not stigma. It's the truth and reality of one part of aspect is your kids are involved in this. So you feel like because you don't want them to have a separation phase, or a situation where they're going through two parents separated completely. Are they ready to handle that? And all those kind of that fear is always dwelling upon a woman. So for those reasons, they don't want to step out, they don't want to speak up, because they feel like, no, my family, these kids can be a little older, they can be abusive already to this mother, or whatever, they could be supporting the father also to be supportive about it. But they can always go to an aspect where they're just being quiet because of these kind of situations. Parents, either they're trapped financially, or because of these kids. That's why they don't come out. That is the reason they're not able to. And lucky, there are some who are lucky enough, or who have the means to be able to, like, okay, I'm done with this, I'm not trapped, so let me just step out. They don't have any other strings attached, so they're like, only the command of being married, or the legal issue of being married, that is the only aspect. Like you said about something about 3 years, a woman is waiting and hoping that she be with the family. But again, she had no ties. She just was, she's away from this person. She has no other legal, no other threats going on, and it's just marriage what is, the problem there. So it's okay to get it out.
It is a social, this thing. I mean, kind of, in the society they said, I mean, they got married and now what's happening. I mean, I would say there is some part to blame on the society also, where they don't support these kind of helpless people, rather than targeting them. Instead of targeting them, they should help them. So I would say we need to blame the society also to some extent, especially the society back in India. There, everybody being ambitious is not a problem, but at the same time, all the plans don't work the way now we plan. So it's better to be accept the fact and then go back. I see. I mean, all the points. I mean, from your views in your book. That's good. Before getting into the book, are you okay to lighten the moods with a song? One of your favorite songs. Is it okay? Or even hum or a few lines of it? I know
Sure.
you're a singer too. Yes, I mean, I heard you're a singer. I mean, if you want to do it, please. We're happy. We'll be happy to hear a song from you. It'll be Malayalam or Tamil or Hindi, whatever is you're comfortable with.
Right now, off the top, my favorite song is my favorite singer is Celine Dion. So no offense, but
So,
that
okay.
the Titanic song is my favorite when it comes to you know from her. So I'll definitely sing a little bit of that. Every night in my dreams, I see you, I feel you. That is how I know you go far across the distance and the spaces between us. You have come to show you go near far. Wherever you are, I believe that your heart does go on. I hope that's good enough.
Beautiful. Very good. Very nice song. Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, I see from your thoughts and views. I mean, the book which you have written. I mean, I know you mentioned it is 7 hours. You've written it in 7 hours, and then you finish it in 7 hours. We could see the time and also the content wise. It reflects the number of hours you have spent on it. So how did you get into the writing skills? I mean, you mentioned earlier in your talk saying that you've been writing some short stories before getting into the book. So what made you to get in the writing profession or hobby? What forced you or what motivated you to write the short stories?
Somewhere, films. I'm a big movie fan, and like I've always loved my love of film has always been there. So, and the book happened because I um, I had this story for a long time in my mind. So it
Hmm.
came to a part where I was looking somehow to get the story out, and I never uh, at, at first I never thought I'll actually write a book officially. But then when it came to a PowerPoint, when I was like, you know what, let's make this a book. The story is great, and it just happened. The whole scenario of how, so it's more of an after effect. The story is not like present abuse happening or something, but it's more of a narration of the abuse and how to a woman and to a Chinese woman, to an elderly Chinese woman. So it's the whole aspect of how she actually the character Amala and how she's talking about the story, and that's the fun part. Like, yeah, there's two narrations happening. Like, there's a friendship building up between Amala and this a Chinese woman,
Mrs. Yeah.
Neela. Yeah, and then it goes to the next aspect where the whole she's talking about this whole abuse and this whole story. So when I started writing this, um, I did it at a shot. Like, I didn't want to take a break or take anything. It was over like midnight. Over the midnight time, I finished the whole story. And when I realized, you know what, there is a very raw aspect to this because they meet over the flight. They're how they are characters talking in the flight, and she decides to communicate the story in a very um, untypical manner, like a not so typical manner. She says, "I'll type it to you in a Kindle, so no one in the flight is disturbed. It's just, it's so that it's between us." So she's basically typing it out and giving the story to this the lady next to her, her new
Grandmother and yes. Mhm.
right. So it is that aspect where it came to a point where the story had to be simple. The flaws had to be kept as flaws, and I was like, I can run it through another few people and make it flawless. But the fact that this story is running like in such a way that she's typing it out just to a person in the flight, and she's narrating the story. So the flaws had to stay. The offside of the typical scripting, or the typical story pattern had to be kept as it was, had to be kept as raw as it was.
It is
So
a raw and
that's
first cut,
my
and I
inkling
would say, yeah.
came. Yeah, that's where my inkling came to keep it with flaws,
Oh,
like because it's being typed, and it's she's just narrating the story in such a way that she's running her hands. It's middle of the night, everyone is sleeping, and there's an older woman who's very much interested in the story to understand what's happening and all that. So I think that was the reason why the story, the type of writing was kept as it is, and I kept it simple. That was the main aspect because of why it
okay.
was
Is the
narrated the way.
Amla a character which you've seen in your real life? I mean, do you have you say kind of portrayed somebody into the character? Is it purely a fictional character? I don't want the names, but at least just I want to know whether it is any. Have you seen anybody
A
like
mix,
that?
definitely a mix. Like I said, there is a little aspects of my life in it. There is little aspects of other women I've seen who have been through something certainly similar. But again, you don't want to get anybody legally in jail or anything. So that is why it's completely turned into a fictional with enough masala for it to turn into a movie someday. So yeah, it's that's definitely one aspect of the story.
Gotcha. Okay. I see that one. I mean, you mentioned, you in the story is that Amla has been adopted by Nair family. So when they want to torture her, why would they adopt her? Why did they adopt her first?
Maybe they didn't want to have their own child to get tortured. So it was, I'm not sure where that aspect went through, like why
Yeah.
exactly, but it happens. There are so many whys in this world where we have no answer to.
And
Like, oh,
I ran through this story with my daughter, through my daughter. I mean, in the morning before I'm talking to this lady, and then I asked her, I didn't understand why. I asked the same question to her. Then she said that I read few stories, some especially in the Middle East and in India. She said the scenarios they adopt girls to make sure they can send the adopted girl to the marriage in the marriage where they have the elderly groom and young girl, and so that they don't want to send their own kid to those families and get the money from them and for their living. So I was really surprised to hear this aspect of all. I don't know whether you thought about it or not, but I mean, this is another probably you can tell now. Now you can mix it with your story. That's another thing. I was also not able to connect. I mean, if they want to harass her, why did they adopt her? So probably you can. Yeah, this is another aspect in the world. I mean, going on where they don't want their kids to go through the thing, and they instead of their kid, they want the adopted kid to go through this. So the people are adopting. Most of the adoptions are happening for with the love. We need to respect that one. And there are few. The percentage might be less with the this kind of cruel mentality. So I hope that will come down, and hope that will not happen anymore. That's all. And coming back to your story again, you mentioned that in Hawaii the electrocution with the chemical powder and all those things. So but in India probably we can expect, or we can think of few things of like that. But how on the earth it can happen in Hawaii? Is it purely fictional? I know you
I,
said fictional, but it doesn't look logical to me.
it well logical
Just
is
kidding.
the fact that if you go to see any movie, you keep a little bit of your logic away, especially when you see Indian Telugu movies, or if you see Rajnikant sir flipping a chiclet into his mouth, you keep logic away. But this happens. Women, when you have enough of paid influence, there are several things like this happening in India. There are several things, like not just women abuse. There are so many people just silencing people in their own manner.
I
Whether be it could be a blast, it could be something, and you don't even know really what really happened. You don't even know who the criminal is, why this person died, or what happened really. There are, it just, and it's just tagged, oh, it was an accident. That's it. So, yeah, people pay for, getting rid of people. And they'll go to any extent. How that all differs and depends on each person.
Gotcha. I understand. I mean, at the end, also you made Mrs. Young cry, and then you changed the story at the end. I mean, immediately. So, I mean, you brought in another character called Amla, and then then you it changes the stay. I mean, the story in the last minute. Sorry about that. So, what made you to change the story? Just because Mrs. Young cried, or was it any different, any other idea? And that also doesn't looks logical to me. But I mean, you explain. I mean, your views on that. I'll leave it to
Uh,
you.
I think it is left to the discretion of women itself. Or, I'm sorry, to the reader itself to figure out, was it true or not true? Was it for the sake of Miss Young, or was it for the sake of uh, the fact that, you know what, at least let this abused woman win once. Maybe real life abused women don't really win; they're really trapped. But like in this story life, let her win. Let her have her way. Like, you know, around the world, no matter what you do, these abused women are silenced or men are silenced. They go through a lot of torture, hook or crook, they are trapped. You know, but my heart really goes out to them, because I think, hey, this is a story, and I'm the author, so I
No,
came for
yes. No,
silence, set her free.
It's a good point you chose. I mean, and also you said, I mean, 7 hours, you completed in 7 hours. That shows up, no doubt about it. And it's a good point and good cause. So, I mean, in general, I mean, again, coming back to our normal and regular discussion on the abuse on women is should come down, and hopefully, what do you suggest to the women? Like, I mean, I know, I mean, even the developed countries also, the rights to the women came slowly. They did not come on the same day. Even the properties, I mean, the owning of the properties was kind of little delayed in the UK and even the US. I mean, even the US, women got rights to vote after black African Americans got the, sorry about the African Americans got the rights to vote. So with all these kind of things in the world, I mean, abuse on women is more, no doubt about it. So what kind of message or what kind of point are you trying to drive, or what is that you're trying to tell them to self be confident and come out of this trap?
Yeah, basically that's like what you just said. It is one aspect where, um, how would a person find a solution to traps, to abuse? How can they really get rid of the traps? Is an enormous, platform as itself. Like, there's wide options out there. But right now, when an abuse is happening, the woman is, tunnel vision, or the man is tunnel vision. Like, they don't really see a place to go out, get out of this situation. And if suddenly another, Amla showed up, or if something like that happened, that was out of this tunnel vision. It was
That's
out of her aspects of thinking that she can live again, that she will not be trapped again. you know so things happen. Things, it just takes a second for a flip of a coin for everything to switch, for abuse to stop, for traps to completely catapult at the other person. So it can happen. You're looking for solutions. There is always so many probabilities to a solution. There is so many different probabilities to a solution. So no matter how much you think that it's not possible, there might be a solution. I'm talking to every woman who's probably listening to this, or there's one specific abused woman who's listening to this, who's thinking, like, she's going through a lot of issues in her life. How will she get out of it? How will she be able to get out of that situation is completely clueless in her mind. But there might be one probability out there which will get you out of the situation. And you have to be positive, you have to be hopeful, no matter how that positivity is turned into negativity sometimes. But still,
Just like a game, I mean, till to try to fight till the last minute. I mean, we don't know the last point. Even at the last point, you can still
exactly,
win the game.
exactly.
So yeah, you should have sportsmanship in your life too, and so that's a good thing. Do you have anything to convey or any message, anything you want to say about your book or anything?
Yes, please read the book. I'm hoping, I'm looking for producers and looking for aspects of how to, make this this book into a movie, to bring it to the real screen, and probably get a different, like a bigger venue to talk about such aspects of life. There are several groups, several women out there who are trying to support the same cause of abuse, of women being trapped in situations where they really want to move on in life, where they really want to become someone who can support, who can really help other women. So it definitely comes to that part where I feel, please read the book. It's not your typical writer's book where you feel like, oh, it's perfect. No, it's not perfect, it's imperfect, but it has some perfection to it because of what the woman is going through. Amala, A Life on Lockdown, is a story just to it's a feel good story at the end. There is the whole narration of it is, it's put in such a unique way. So I'm definitely hoping many women can relate to such issues, many women, and happy Mother's Day to everybody, to all the women out there who are, in their own struggles of life, in their own, trying to make life the most pleasant thing, even though they have the most negative people around them, or, whatever it is, whatever your situations are. I really hope and congratulate you on on Mother's Day, to be this woman you are. And thank you for being there for your family.
Okay, thank you very much, and wish you all the best in your endeavors in your life and also with your book. And hopefully, you will be able to achieve whatever you're looking at.